Well, all right, we have some interesting things to talk about for the market between the drop that we saw and the recovery that we made. Wait until I show you what I have to show you for the charts for the indices, or I should say the ETFs that track them, SPY, QQQ, IWM, but then also to show you that NVDA, Palantir, SoFi, even Bitcoin, they all kind of did the same thing if you look at it in the right way. And I'll show you exactly what I mean when we get to the charts. I do want to say today I was able to pull off 2 trades, some 0 DTEs for some day trading. Went 2 for 2 today, up about 50% between the two of them. Over at the Discord, we do that Trade Wins channel. A popular play today was the VIX. I did not use that for myself, but that's absolutely one that we can take a look at. Dr. Known, not along with Dr. Stock here. 55% on that one. iBeach, 54%. 40% snagged by Alpha Boricua. And then Arkansas Dog pulling down. Let me see for this one. Quite a bit, it looks like. So $400 on top of that. So that was a nice little gainer for them as well. Anthony Dickey, Fig market sell. It looks like this dude opened up a put option. I just talked today about Fig, and watch for that move, that volume move that we could see. We got a volume move to the downside. This guy capitalized on it. Making a 2xer there, 100% up for that one. Another VIX play on top of that, 93%. And then here's Dr. Stock, that's me, 47% profit in 4 minutes of work. And that was using 0 DTE contracts. Arkansas Dog popping off another one, $50 there, another 20-ish% or so. And then there's my next trade on this 0 DTEs, 54% on that one as well. Now, mind you, if you don't know what 0 DTEs are, and if you wonder how all these high percent numbers end up coming out there, the reason that they come up is through options. I'm running an options workshop coming up this Saturday on the 6th at 2 p.m. Eastern time. It is a live Q&A workshop where I talked about beginner options, how to get started with the options, the risks associated with them. Now, you guys got to see a lot of the gains on that side. There are risks that you also need to be aware of, but man, it can really add alpha to your portfolio when you know what to look at, where to look for it. And so finding out about what options are all about, this is that workshop for you, the next level. So if you're somebody who already uses options and you want to know more about them, especially the selling to open side of options, that's the next workshop that's going to come along. The date is yet to be announced. It'll follow this one. This is the last beginner workshop. There's a limited number of seats available. And so I'll tell you, my trades today, 2 of them, up about 50% between the 2 of them on the ones that I've made. And I was in the trades a total of 6 minutes today to make something that was over what I would get during my regular teaching salary sort of days. So guys, I think that is pretty darn incredible to be able to see that, and you guys can learn how to do it too. It all starts with knowing about those options. Like I said, beginner workshop this Saturday on the 6th at 2 p.m. Limited seating, live Q&A, and also a 60-day forum community that go along with that. And then there's also a little bit more that you can learn about technicals with the Stock Mo Candle workshop. And then if you want to learn more about the life of crypto, Crypto Will's also got something out there too. Everyone's got limited number of seating available for their workshop, so make sure that you go and you check it out. All right, let's get over into the technicals here to show you exactly what I was seeing on the charts. So we'll pop up the cues first. And so the first big thing to notice, I said watch those moving averages. We got an easing all the way down to the 50 EMA, and then that's where we hit that low. So we opened up here at the bottom of this candle, came down, tagged the 50, and then the rest was history after that. Now, if we drop down to the minute chart, I can show you those times that I made those trades. One of which was when I was able to trade during this time when you see that candle come up and touch VWAP right here. And that's usually the time when you approach from the bottom that you usually get a rejection off of that. Rode that thing down. I believe this is one that I ended up capping out on my target price on this one, and then was not able to trade during the rest of that up until we got over to this part where we're north of VWAP once again, and then you see us flirting out the 50. This candle right here on volume where we finally pushed up above it after a period of somewhat downward and kind of low volume consolidation. I figured that was the move. That was the time to get in. On the very next candle over, we saw a little bit of a pullback on that one. I figured that we'd have a rocket ship after that, and that's where that next winner came in. Just an absolute banger. Now for that one, I had to play the stop a little bit close because the way the timing worked out on that one. And I ended up getting stopped out at just about 50% profit. But I will tell you that if I was able to let that one right out to my target, it would have actually taken me up closer to 2x on that one. So that one, yeah, the stop happened. I'll still take that 50%. And then you guys can see what happened throughout the day after that. And that actually brings me to the 15-minute chart. Let me show you that to say, because I said that all of these charts did pretty much the same thing. Look at what we got, including in these after hours. Look at this structure that we have over here, this sort of ceiling that was the floor for us before. We've almost reverted back to that previous floor as the new ceiling as we get into the JOLTs report tomorrow. So our next major catalyst comes up at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Expect any amount of volatility to happen before then. And remember, the number that we're looking for, we want to stay north of 7 million. We'll probably be okay. If by some miracle we hit 8 million plus, the market would go absolutely bananas and probably like travel way up north, be like, I thought that things were bad. We should see fewer job openings, not more of them. And so I think that that would be significant upward pressure, especially I think mid sevens and higher would really where you see that we would see more of that downward pressure come off, some of that uncertainty, be like, well, ISM manufacturing today didn't really tell us anything we didn't already expect. It was already priced in. And then JOLTs. Oh man, is this going to be the bad one? Is it going to be the bad one? So now we dropped down. Now we kind of brought back up to maybe let's watch and see. And so that's what we have tomorrow at 10 a.m. So watch for JOLTs. If it comes in south of 7 million, that's usually where, at least in current times, below 7 million is where we start to kind of get a little bit nervous about what we could see from that JOLTs report. Like I said, that's at 10 a.m. tomorrow. So right now, the narrative that's building, because I talked in my morning video about the narrative as it developed. Right now, the narrative has us raising an eyebrow. I don't know. Can I do it? Am I doing it? Am I raising an eyebrow right now? You guys can let me know. In any case, well, you can just picture The Rock or something like that, raising an eyebrow at the information, because so far it's like, well, we were expecting weakness, and yeah, we got a little bit, but no more than we usually have during this time. A little bit of contraction in there. That wasn't so bad. So now the pressure goes on to JOLTs. Is it going to stay not so bad? That's where that kind of like hope comes in. You guys can see us kind of seeing that levity coming off the bottoms there and then reverting back to that same risk level that we found ourselves at before we got the ISM manufacturing data. And so if it turns out to be nothing tomorrow, well, then that takes even more pressure off. And then we're like, well, ISM services, we're like, not bad, not bad. Okay, what does the next one look like? Well, if JOLTs is bad, that puts a lot of pressure on ISM services, and then especially non-farm payrolls and unemployment. If JOLTs is really good, then it makes us hopeful about what we could get for non-farm payrolls and what we could get about unemployment. Be like, well, if this wasn't bad, then maybe the other ones are good too, and maybe the market then starts to trade on hopium. So when I said narrative, we really want to see the narrative that plays out from this and see how to position ourselves. With that said, I'll get back into the technicals here. So we see the ceiling, that reversion to the ceiling on the Qs. If we go to the SPY in the 15-minute chart, you can see, if I zoom out a little bit more, that green line coming right across your screen, taking us back up to that previous floor. Now is the ceiling for us. If we go to IWM, 15-minute chart, reverting a little bit more back to this previous floor that we had on this one, actually kind of pushing up above it a little bit. Now remember, IWM, even though it was outperforming in this quarter as I thought it would be versus the SPY, it could come along with a little bit of extra hope. IWM, the small caps, stand to really benefit, maybe in an outsized way, if we end up nailing a soft landing for this. So that's definitely worth paying attention to. So we are seeing a reversion with IWM. With Bitcoin, we actually have to look at the hourly chart. But once again, we can sort of see that reversion where we go back to these two bottoms that we had in here for the floor, going all the way back to the 2nd of August and then back here again at the 22nd of August. And that's exactly where we peaked out this time. So even though it's an hourly chart and it takes a little bit different time frame, it's still the same reversion that we're seeing in the other areas, in the Qs and in the SPY. Now, if we move from there on to NVIDIA, move over to NVIDIA, what do you see? We actually found ourselves once again reverting to this floor that we have. Yeah, we poked down through support a little bit, reverted back up to the top of it, but we had this floor before going back to Friday the 22nd. And then we also poked down through a little bit 2 other times. And then over here is the floor when we go all the way back to the August 1st date. Once again, you see that reversion to the floor where we're kind of like, not so bad. Maybe we have more coming our way. We're going to have to watch and see. But I will say that ISM manufacturing, it didn't say good news, but it was like maybe this week won't be as bad as we think, and maybe we get a little bit more time out of this. Maybe the Fed spooked us over nothing this time, and then we'll just watch and see. And like I said, going out to the Qs, out to the daily chart, it's possible that general direction is still up. We need to watch and see what we get. Will we get that spectacular September? That's a September to remember, or is it instead going to be one where we get that September sell-off, the September slump, and then we look for the opportunities that follow. And in my morning video, I talked about zooming out to weekly and monthly charts and watching for the opportunities if we do get the September slump coming our way. So I keep my fingers crossed that bullish is the way forward, but I will say that if we see those sell-offs that take us back down to the longer term moving averages, that is where that true opportunity comes in. Now, Palantir, look at Palantir. It didn't necessarily have that same reversion to a floor, but what it did, it kind of had this consolidation period before that massive rise that we saw the last time, that nice little rainbow arc that we have. But then now we kind of have it consolidating over here again. So we're back in that consolidation right in the middle, sort of like, should we go bullish on this thing? Should we go bearish on this thing? I will tell you, net bullish on Palantir, even if it does see a little bit of a weakness in the near term. At least that's the way that I take it. And I can only speak for myself, but I can tell you so far the support that we're seeing, absolutely incredible. And then SoFi, the technicals on this are a bit of a mess right now, but just trust me so far, the fact that we're holding this 24.67, we lost it at first, but then rallied above it strongly. Not as good as taking 25. Really, the number that we want to overtake is 25.68, and we actually want a solid day above it. If we can get above that, we have, we have a little bit of that previous peak, but if we're able to get it back up above it with some momentum reset, if you will, then we could have a shot at that $28 mark. So for SoFi, that's a pretty darn hopeful thing. FIG, not that this one applied to the rest of it, kind of tried to come back a little bit, but I said, watch this structure, watch for a breakdown below it. That's exactly what we got. I said, watch for it to move on volume, and the volume that we had in the first 4 hours definitely outsized anything that we had since that last major red candle that we had going all the way back to August the 25th. If we drop down to the hourly chart, you can see a little bit more nuance to it, a little bit more detail for what happened with FIG stock. And like I said, the volume was out of this thing. We were expected to see some sort of move sometime soon. I didn't know it was going to be today, but I will say, I said, watch for that structure break. Watch for that break down below this line that's over here. We got that. We certainly broke down below 67 as well. Now the next thing on FIG, are we going to hit our head on 67 and retrace back down further? Right now, it's looking like that could absolutely happen, that we're not necessarily done yet. If we're able to sit on top of 67, watch for that climb back up to 68, 61. It could be a very nice time for us. Last I looked, the FIG options were actually relatively expensive. So that can also make it very difficult as well. Now, BBAI. For this one, we found, at least near term, that we're hanging out near some previous bottoms that we had on this one. Let me jump up to the 4-hour chart, take a little bit of noise out of this intraday look that we have here. There we go. And you guys can see the previous low that we had over here that we bottomed out a little bit. We also did that back here going back to June the 25th and August the 12th. And if I put the technicals on this, pay attention to what we have for the green rectangles, because shared this in my morning video that we could see that major support happening here. We got an engulfing candle on this 4-hour chart, following the one that came before, engulfing the body of this one, but not necessarily the wick. We could be seeing that move upward on this. So that's something that could be exciting for us. I will tell you that volume is missing out of that recipe. Just look at the volumes that we have across the bottom of this thing. Look at today's volume. And even though we have the candle structure to say, hey, maybe we're breaking structure, maybe we're going to move up, the volume's out of it. It's not my favorite trade in the world. So I'm going to stick with what I said before about bigbear.ai, that we're going to watch to see what we get. That move today off of support was really nice to see that bit of a bounce happening. I said that we had buying pressure waiting for us down here. You can see based on volume, it was not as explosive as it was on August the 12th. It's still relatively subdued volume. It did close up above the 100-day on this. However, when we look at just the EMAs, we're still down below the 5, the 13, and the 50. Even though we're up above the 200, I still think that major play is likely down here in the low fours for bigbear.ai. And I know talking about a popular stock like that one, even though it might be out of favor right now by a lot of market interest, it sometimes loses me some subscribers. But I'm not here to win subscribers. I'm here to give you what I think is the best information possible. So guys, you can let me know what you think about that in terms of my commentary, in terms of what are we seeing for the markets themselves. We keep on seeing that return to structure as I look across different assets, whether we're looking at the ETFs for the indices, or we're looking at crypto, or we're looking at some of the individual stocks, or even some of the smaller plays out there. We had, for the most part, that huge rip down, and then that market bias kind of returning us back to more of an even keel, if you will, that it's not quite ready to be like, you know what, this is done, this is over, things are bad, we need to sell. We didn't get that today. What we got was, oh my gosh, we're worried. And that was like, okay, maybe maybe it's a little bit too much worry. Let's go back to a little bit more balanced of a stance, and then let's watch and see what the JOLTs have to tell us tomorrow. Again, pay attention to that narrative build. And guys, also pay attention to those percentages from the beginning of this video with those options as well, that you can take things spanning several days, weeks, months with those options. And you can also play either direction with those options, up market, down market. I did one of each today. I did one where I wanted to see things drop and I made money on the way down. I think it was 47%. And then I made 54% on the move back up in the other direction, all with options, and they were long options. So a call, a put. And if you want to know what all those are about, join us for the workshop on Saturday, the 6th at 2 p.m. Eastern time. Like I said, not only do I present to you guys in that workshop, but I also take your questions and I'm trying to be as nuanced as possible, where I give you that plain, easy, and straightforward information. And then you can also see if you have the details right. And if you miss something, I put out the recording as well. You got to wait for it to process, but it takes a few hours, makes it back out. So once Zoom's done processing that video, it's ready to go. I've put it out onto the forum. You guys get access to that. I put the presentation on the forum. You get the access to that. You can ask questions of me and the community members over there, and we can get around to also answering those questions as well. And so it really is a wonderful opportunity. When you use code word money, by the way, you're going to save 20%. So make sure that you do that. And I can tell you, the people who've been in there so far have loved the workshop and have loved the things that I had to say. And it's really helped their perspectives. I can help your perspective too. And if you want to join us over the Discord so you don't miss things like the VIX play that was out there that was so profitable for so many people, you guys can also try that out. Code word doctor when you sign up for the Discord. That'll save you 50% off your first month sign up. And if you can't wait for those workshops and you want to see the classes on technicals, trading technicals, options, those you can get code word doctor on those for $400 off. Bundling them gets you an even deeper discount on top of that. And like I said, guys, I'm going to come back to YouTube. I'm going to keep on tracking, especially this week. I'm looking broad market because I think broad market's where it's at, and that'll inform us of whether we should be in the place where we should be doing net calls. In other words, that's mostly what we're doing is those long plays because it's game on bulls, or is a place that we should be a little bit more bearish. This week, I think, is going to answer that question, at least for what the market's feeling is, market sentiment is for that narrative. So I think that we're going to get an idea of that. It's going to take all the way till Friday to get it. I'm going to keep on reporting back here on YouTube and also posting over at the Discord. And I can't wait to see people over at the workshop. Don't forget, for that workshop, limited seating, code word money to save 20%. It's an incredible value. You won't find one better, I promise you. Thanks for watching, guys. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.